Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting into the anatomy of a great shooter. We're going to break down what separates the good from the truly legendary, all based on this really great debate between two friends who were trying to define a genre they don't even claim to be experts in. And it all kicks off with this, a friendly challenge between two gamers, Eric and Marco, to finally decide who has the better list of shooting games. But what started as a simple list quickly turned into a quest to define the entire genre. So here's our game plan for breaking this all down. We'll start with their duel for a definition, lay out the rules they came up with, look back at the genre's founding fathers, track the evolution into the modern era, check out some unconventional games, and then deliver the final takeaway. All right, let's get into it. Our guides here, Eric and Marco, they're upfront about the fact that shooters aren't their absolute favorite genre. And honestly, that's what makes this so interesting because it forced them to really think hard about what makes a shooter good enough to make their personal lists. Right away, they hit a snag. A lot of the games they initially thought of, well, they weren't really pure shooters. They had stealth or magic or heavy survival elements. So to have a fair fight, they realized they had to set some ground rules. They needed a solid definition. So what were these rules? What are the core elements that make or break a shooting game? This is where we get to the heart of what makes this genre tick. It really all boils down to this one question, doesn't it? Beyond just pointing and clicking, what separates a game you forget in a week from one that sticks with you for years? And the number one most important thing they landed on was this idea of gunplay. Gunplay isn't just about the guns, not at all. It's the whole package. It's the feel of the recoil, how your character moves, the crack of the sound design, and an AI that's actually smart enough to feel like a threat. Great gunplay makes every single shot feel meaningful. But it's not just about the gunplay, right? It's a whole balancing act. The focus has to be on ranged combat, first and foremost. You've got to manage your resources, ammo, health, all that. The world needs to pull you in. And, really important, the movement and precision have to be tight enough to reward actual skill. It's not just about mindless shooting. There's real strategy involved. Okay, so with those rules in mind, let's take a look at some of the giants. The games that didn't just follow the rules, they practically wrote them. And you absolutely have to start with GoldenEye 007. Before this game came out, the idea of a great first-person shooter on a console, it was kind of a joke. GoldenEye proved it could not only work, but it could be incredible. And this quote just nails it. It really did license an entire generation to love first-person shooters. It wasn't just a game. It was a sleepover essential, a social event built around that four-player split screen, and missions that were way more complex than just kill everything. Okay, now let's rocket forward a couple of decades to Doom Eternal. This game took one of the most classic franchises ever and just completely reinvented it. It's built on one simple, brutal philosophy. If you stand still, you die. And this is where it gets so brilliant. It's what they called a sanguinary chess match. It's this violent, addictive loop where being aggressive is how you get your resources. You chainsaw enemies for ammo, you glory kill them for health, you set them on fire for armor. You're constantly hunting not just to win, but to survive. But of course, the genre didn't just stop there. A couple of key games came along and completely shifted the landscape, changing what we even expect from a shooter. And there's this really fascinating shift that happened. The classic era was all about the single-player, first-person campaign. But the modern era, it's defined by multiplayer. And interestingly, when we do get big story modes now, a lot of them have shifted to that more cinematic third-person perspective. And if there is one game that stands right on that dividing line, the perfect bridge between these two eras, it has to be Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare had an incredible campaign, for sure. But its real legacy, that was its multiplayer. It introduced things we just take for granted now, like creating your own custom class, getting killstreak rewards, and that whole perk and progression system that just keeps you hooked. It laid the blueprint for online shooters for more than a decade. And right around the same time that Call of Duty was rewriting the FPS rulebook, Gears of War 2 was busy perfecting the third-person shooter. It tightened up that chunky cover-based combat and gave us the absolute game-changer that was Horde mode, a co-op concept that, let's be honest, almost every other game copied for years. Okay, so we've talked military shooters, we've talked sci-fi demons, but not every great shooter fits into those neat little boxes. Some of the most memorable ones are the weird creative outliers that just did their own thing.
And this just shows you the incredible variety out there. You've got the pure 2D arcade chaos of Metal Slug. Then you've got something like Time Crisis, a physical experience where you're in an arcade stomping a pedal to duck into cover. And then you have Black, basically the Michael Bay of shooters, where it was all about the spectacle, the sound, and just blowing everything up. So, after this whole tour through the classics, the modern titans, and the creative rebels, what's the big takeaway here? What's the final headshot? It really comes down to this. A truly great shooter is almost never just one thing. It's this perfect storm of polished, satisfying gunplay, an immersive world that you believe in, some kind of innovative spark that pushes things forward, and, more often than not, a powerful social hook that connects you with other people. And that social part brings us to a final, really thought-provoking point. It's this idea of how gaming culture has shifted from those LAN parties and split-screen days to our modern online world. So this is the question we'll leave you with. As gaming gets bigger, more global, more online, can it ever truly recapture that specific kind of magic that came from playing side by side with your friends, all in the same room? It's something to think about.